Hi everyone, it's Simon Keeling here, and it is Thursday, the 8th of November. Thanks again for watching weatherweb.net. As always, the site's get free of charge by the adverts that you see around the screen here, so it's when you come back and use the site and tell your friends about the site, that's that generates revenue that keeps it all free of charge, so thank you for doing that. This is the temperature chart for midday this afternoon. You can see we've got quite a mild day across many parts of the country, 11s and 12s typically through central areas, 8 to 10 degrees Celsius across Scotland and also across Ireland. Now, we've got some fairly interesting developments look like taking place during the course of the week ahead. Now, this isn't to call particularly very cold weather, it's just interesting to see a change taking place, some conflict between the models. That normally indicates that we're going to see a shift in weather pattern. I'll show what I mean. The focus is on the 15th of November, so we're looking around this sort of 15th date, so a week today, to be the day when the weather pattern starts to show signs of a change over the coming day. So this is from the ECMWF look, and what I want you to notice here is this dip in the 500 millibar flow. That dip there, we've got a trough. Now compare that to the Canadian model, very similar with this trough here as well. Look, so a very similar look between the two models. It's how they evolve after that that's interesting. If we go on in 24-hour steps from the ECMWF look, this will take us forward. This is into Thursday. It builds the ridge through the UK look, takes a cut-off low down into Iberia and leaves a further low up here across Iceland. It then leaves that cut-off low off Iberia right the way through to the end of the forecast period on the 18th of November, and brings a jet right the way across the Atlantic with this very mild southwesterly flow, and that would bring some very wet weather through Ireland, through Scotland, some very mild weather too across southern and eastern parts of England, but colder towards the north. Now on this pattern, what we would be looking for is for the trough here to then swing southeastwards and introduce much colder conditions from about the 23rd or 24th of November onwards as the northwesterly winds kicked in. But just look at the Canadian, let's just compare that. Here's our trough look on the 15th, and then if we go through in 12-hour steps, notice the difference here. Look, we see a low developing far more. There's the 16th look from the ECMWF, so it wants to develop this low as a far more dominant feature rather than to shift it into a cold pool down south, and then that low continues to drift southeastwards. It then eventually pulls in southeast or easterly winds, and it tries to hint at cooler conditions eventually piling in from the east with wet weather and windy weather across many southern and western parts of the country. But the key here is this easterly wind that tries to develop as that low moves in, and eventually what would happen given that scenario is that this low would continue to drift southeastwards, the winds would go north and northeasterly across the UK, and again from about 23rd to 24th conditions would turn colder. Now I stress again, this is only from the model, but we've been hinting at this last stage of November as being cool, and it's just interesting to see both the ECMWF and also the Canadian models going for this idea, albeit in slightly different formats, going for this idea of a cut-off cold pool forming and trying to get its way southwards. It's just an interesting development to see, so we're going to be watching that over the coming days. Now back to the next few days though. This is how the weather shapes up, and this is the GFS total rainfall chart. I've been showing you this for the last few days as well. This is the total rainfall chart for the next week, taking us through to the 16th of November, and again you can see how it's putting most rainfall down these western parts of the country during the next week, over 100 millimetres of rain falling over parts of southern Wales, whereas eastern parts of the country are drier. Still getting between about 10 and 20 millimetres of rain typically, but generally dry conditions. Now what's interesting to note as we run through the sequence here, and you just note the time up here to the top corner, just notice how most of the rainfall actually occurs during the last part of the forecast period. Look, we're now into the end of the weekend and we got very little rainfall affecting many eastern and central parts of the UK. Most of it is down in the west, and then we get into the early part of next week, and look again, you see how most of this rainfall is occurring through western areas, and then even through the middle and then into the latter part of next week we still see these heavier periods of rain affecting the east, but it's not really until we get much later that we start to see rainfall edging its way eastwards during the course of the week. And again though, just notice how it's those western areas that tend to stay on the wetter side, whereas towards the east we stay dry and stay in that drier air really right the way through until the end of the forecast period. So it's just interesting to see how this develops again, that it's going to be western areas that see most of the rain, eastern areas see less of it, and it really is the end of the week before anywhere really gets unsettled. And it's going to be this kind of 15th, 16th, as that trough gets in, that conditions could be turning more unsettled. So we're looking at the period around the middle of the week. So this is how we look then on the GFS model then for the next few days. This is the chart for this afternoon. Ridge of high pressure through the country this afternoon. So generally dry conditions for many, but cloud and outbreaks of rain and strong winds coming into Scotland and Northern Ireland during tonight. That front is going to be tracking its way slowly southeastwards through the night. It'll bring cloud and outbreaks of rain through northwest England, northern and western Wales, southeastern Ireland, I think through tomorrow morning, and then it tracks very slowly southeastwards into tomorrow afternoon. But notice how many central and eastern areas stay dry and clear, while we've got some showers affecting northern and western Scotland with cooler air just coming in. Then that front tracks southeastwards overnight into Saturday. Still got outbreaks of rain running along the front through Saturday into the southeast, but eventually late Saturday afternoon it clears away. On Saturday itself we get sunny spells and scattered showers coming in. Most of the showers out to the west. Some of them could be heavy here, but I think for many parts of England and eastern Wales it should be a dry and a fine day. Now, those of you who plan on going sailing through the weekend, we're looking at southwesterlies about a 4 across eastern parts of the country, becoming westerly I think through the channel behind this front, probably at around about a force 4, southwesterlies force 5 down these western coasts. If flying is your thing, then it's going to be the southeast that stays in non-VFR conditions, non-flyable conditions really through the morning on Saturday, but then many parts of the UK coming into much better conditions with higher cloud bases, although just watch these western coasts always seeing those showers. Then overnight we're going to find low pressure tracking north of Scotland. You notice how many areas stay dry through the night with clear spells. I still think there could be some residual rain though left through Kent and through parts of Sussex, and the model trying to pick up on that here, and also some showers affecting western coasts. Some wintry showers for northern parts of Scotland, but for many it looks as if the night should be dry, clear, I think a touch of a ground frost as well. And then through Sunday itself we get into a northwesterly flow. Now this is probably going to be bringing cooler conditions for Scotland, much of northern England, into the Midlands as well, although brighter conditions through Ireland and southwestern parts of England. Some showers for northern and western Scotland and for the northwest of England, but many eastern areas should be dry. Again, for those of you sailing, we're looking at west southwesterlies at 4s and 5s down these eastern coasts, northwesterly 6s across northeastern Scotland, northwesterly 4 or 5 for many western areas, and probably a west-west northwesterly at 4 through the channel. For flying, it looks like it should be a fine day really once we've got rid of the rain away from Kent. Bases of the cloud about 3,000 or 4,000 feet, good visibility, and just a few showers to watch out for around northern and western coast, but generally a good day. And then the ridge of high pressure builds through into Monday morning. Now that could bring a slight frost for Monday morning, but then look, rain is powering into the west again through the course of Monday. That mainly affecting Scotland, Wales, western parts of England and Ireland on Monday, but then it tracks its way eastwards, bringing breezy and damp conditions to all. For Tuesday we find another area of rain coming into Ireland, and that slowly spreads eastwards, bringing a wet afternoon for northern England, Wales, southwest England, eastern Ireland, but some showers following behind. Drier and really mild across East Anglia and the southeast of England. Then into the 14th, so this is taking us into next Wednesday. We see this front kind of buckle around towards the west. It's this that brings the wetter weather that we saw on the rainfall chart here of the west. It's that brings the really wet weather through parts of Wales, southwest England during the early part of Wednesday, although eastern areas look staying dry and fairly breezy and very mild. But then what we find is through Wednesday afternoon, this is the low pressure associated with the trough that we've just been watching on the 15th. Let's just go back a few charts here. This is the area of low pressure that's associated with this trough at 500 millibars. So it's this that's associated with that. Now watch what happens. Overnight into Thursday, look, it develops an area of low pressure. It brings that low north and eastwards, and brings wetter weather to much of the country. So this is where we could see this breakdown taking place into wetter conditions through next Wednesday into Thursday. And then for for Friday, low pressure still around, still outbreaks of rain, but look, we're going into more of a west to west northwesterly, and this is the low that we're keeping our eyes on to see what happens to this, because if that tracks southeastwards, this could bring in the more unsettled conditions. So it's this idea of the end of next week going more unsettled, and then a really close watch on for conditions turning colder. However, note that the ensemble doesn't go for the colder conditions. This is just the GFS ensemble. As we run it through, look, what it does is it keeps the trough out towards the north and the west, prevents it from coming in, maintains a jet stream through the UK and keeps unsettled conditions through us, but keeps conditions generally with temperatures around about normal. So this big question mark over what happens at the end of next week, although I think we can say that it's going to be turning more unsettled. So thanks again for watching weatherweb.net. Remember the site to get free of charge by the adverts you're seeing around the screen here. So by you coming back and using the site and visiting the site and telling your friends about the site, that's what keeps it free of charge. So thanks for watching. Let's see what happens on the model developments for this period of the 15th of November over the next few hours and days, and keep the sun shining. Bye for now.